Hello everyone, Burb here. Today I'll be going over a rather large topic in talking about the guts build. I know this has been much requested and it's been asked for in a bunch of different ways. And do not worry, there is a ton of math in this video, namely the binomial problem as per usual, but I know the last video did not have as much math as people were liking to, so hopefully this swings the pendulum the other way. So the question that I think most people are asking in essence is that should I be signing up for the guts build? I'm going to attempt to answer this question by showing you the risks associated to running guts and then the rewards at the very start, and then you can go and make your determination on whether or not you want to sign up about it. At the end of the day, it's basically how many runs do you want to do and whether or not you want to spend hours in this game playing this game and whether that will be frustrating to you. I will give my suggestions at the end, but again, you should use this knowledge to make your own conclusions. If you do not know what the guts build is, traditionally it is a 1-speed, 3 guts, 2 wit deck in which you use the fact that guts training gives you speed and power along with the amplification properties of items found in Trackblazer to hit your speed and power requirements. The wit cards basically exist still, but this build is very, very volatile because you are trusting a singular tap, essentially a singular training in the guts training. This is different from the speed power wit deck because normally you have multiple options that could be good. You could have your speed cards hit, you could have your power cards hit, and you could have your wit cards hit. This one, you could have your guts cards hit, you could have your wit cards hit, but you don't necessarily want to be training wit in certain situations, and you have a solo speed card meant to carry the entirety of your speed of your run if your guts cards do not hit perfectly. Okay, so ideally you're pressing the guts button over and over and over again in certain turns in which you are training in Trackblazer. And if those turns do not hit, you simply do not make stats. That is what we are going over today. The guts build is very risky as a result, and there are other builds that you can use, like the standard speed wit with solo power or speed double power double wit, and they work just as fine. However, the guts build generally gets, because we don't care about stamina, we instead use that and get bonus guts, and that guts can be used for spot struggling as well as dueling in the late race, not to mention it is technically a partial speed point as well. So a perfectly built guts build character will have an advantage over a speed wit character. But here are the risks associated with running the guts build. You need good summer taps. I think this is uncontested that you can't get a good guts run unless you have a certain number of multiple guts taps in the summer. Now, can you get stats? Yes, but you're going to be skipping races outside of summer that are going to go and start affecting your skill points rather than you just running speed wit, being comfy, and making sure you hit all your races. So the summer is basically amplified because you need those multiple guts taps and possibly a speed tap or two to hit your stats while allowing you to still race while outside of summer, okay? Me personally, I don't get really good summers anyway, so it doesn't really matter which build I do, but that's not for this video. I'm going to go and nip something in the bud real quick. This is a very small scope. We're talking about summer in particular. There's this thing in engineering that I've talked about before called requirements breakdown. You may know it as divide and conquer, as the idiom says, but if I go and put everything into one singular video talking about everything, 1, you're going to be incredibly confused. 2, it'll be a 5-hour video, and 3, I don't think you will get much value out of it because you'll find that a lot of things just, like, I can go over everything, but it's just going to make an answer so convoluted that you can't go and learn from it. So I think by going and zooming in the scope to the point of I'm talking about summer trainings with particular different variables and slowly increasing it over time, I think you'll find you will learn the process better as well as be able to form your conclusions a lot better. So this is why I'm talking about summer in particular. I know there's other things that go and are pros and cons of the guts build that I will not be talking about today, but perhaps that is a follow-up video, just like I did the runway video, where I expand the scopes little by little, more after more. So let's begin and talk about guts build. Firstly, I'm going to go at the smallest scope that I can think of, which is basically we are running a 1-3-2 deck, a 3 guts build deck in summer, and we have no specialty priority. This is not realistic. However, this allows us to go and look at how the different variables affect things. If you do not know, the base training value without any specialty priority is a 100 out of 550 or an 18% chance to appear on any training. Could be speed, could be guts, could be wit, could be power, etc., etc., and a 50 out of 550 or a 9% chance to not show up on any training at all. If you were to add specialty priority, you add it to the numerator and the denominator. So something with like an effective specialty priority like Kidison Black of effectively 110 gets 210 out of 660, which is roughly a 31% chance. That is why specialty priority is good, because it means that it appears on your training that you are intending them to be in order to friendship train more often, and something like Kidison Black is significant. The standard guts tap odds, if we do not take into account, this doesn't matter actually if specialty priority or not, is the binomial problem. Our good friend, the binomial problem, appears again. It's essentially saying the probability of a certain outcome, or the probability of, in this case, let's say 0 or 1 or 2 guts cards on the guts training, is going to equal the number of arrangements, basically the number of arrangements that could possibly happen with that particular outcome, multiplied by the probability that a single guts card goes to that guts training, raised to the number of cards that you have, you're running of guts, times the inverse, so the odds that it does not go to the training, raised to the number of cards that do not need to go to guts to satisfy the outcome, subtracted by that's basically what it is. Basically n minus k, the number of cards minus the number of cards on guts training, the ones that don't. So to put this in perspective, if we're going and using p equals 0, so if we are saying the probability that no guts cards appear when we do not have specialty priority, this will make things a lot clearer. Your k is 0, and you fill in this equation in the top right corner here. Your p of 0 is what? We have arrangement of how many arrangements can we have of guts cards of the 3 being on or off in order to get 0 cards on the guts training. The answer is 1 singular arrangement. All of them are off. There's no other way to get 0. So that is 1 arrangement. Our p raised to the 0 is 1, because anything raised to the 0 is 1. And then our opposite, the odds of not being on guts is everything except the time we're on guts. We have an 18.18% chance, as we showed in the specialty priority example. So 1 minus 18.18% raised to 3 not on minus 0 on is a 54.77% chance that no guts cards go to guts, okay? That is p equals 0. When we make p equals 1, and this will really show it, we can go, for example, I'm not going to go through all of them, don't worry, but I think this is demonstrative, that, hey, there are 3 arrangements that we can have, that we have 1 singular guts card on this training. So if card 1 goes to guts, but card 2 and 3 do not, then we have 1 guts card. And if card 2 goes on and 1 and 3 do not, we have 1 guts card, as well as if card 3 goes on and 2 and 1 do not, we have 1 guts card. So there's 3 different arrangements. So we take 3, we multiply by p raised to the 1, which our probability is still 18.18% because we don't have any specialty priority. And then we multiply that by the inverse again, or rather the converse technically, which is 1 minus that, raised to 3 on minus 1 off for 66.95%. So again, 3 times 18.18% times 66.95% squared. That equals 36.51% chance. So we have a 36.51% chance with no specialty priority to get exactly 1 guts card on the guts training, and then the other 2 are on vacation somewhere else. If you do the math for 2 and 3, you will find that, hey, 2 exactly is 8.11%, and the God roll of having all 3 is a lot less than you think in only 0.6% chance. This is why specialty priority is very important, because those 3 guts taps will almost never appear without it. Okay? Now, if you're wanting to do at least, which is really what we're looking at, because we need 2 or 3, let's say, we want multiple guts rainbows in summer to be good and successful, let's say. That may be a simplification, but that's what we're going with. 8.71% chance in that case, because all we're doing is adding 8.11 and we add the 0.6% for 8.71%. Basically, what you're saying is that, hey, 1 or more guts cards, you have roughly a 45% chance. 2 or more, you have about an 8.7% chance. And 3 or more with no specialty priority is still almost non-existent. But now let's add the specialty priority. We're adding 50 to each card, let's say. So now every card has, again, this is simplification, has a 150 out of 600 instead of a 100 out of 550. So a 25% chance to be on any training could be a 25% chance to be on the training that we want, which is guts, and an 8.3% chance to be completely on vacation. The most notable thing is that, hey, guts training now has a 150 out of 600 in this case. So in this case, the 3 guts cards, if they all have 50 specialty priority each, our P changes from that 18% to 25% chance. There's no other difference besides that. And if you do the same math as before, that 35% that you saw before for exactly 1 guts card, it becomes 42%, so an additional 7% chance as well. The table itself goes and changes, and you can see the difference between 0 specialty priority on no cards to 50 specialty priority on all cards makes it so that the 0 goes down, but then your 1+ goes from 36% to 42%, and most importantly, your 2 and 3 go from 8% to 14% and 0.6% to almost triple at 1.56%, just from going and increasing the specialty priority. If you're looking at this, and you should see that basically the difference between this is about 13% for 1+, 7% roughly for 2 or more, and another 1% for 3 or more, rounded. If you want to make a linear approximation that can be used like using mental math, it's not exactly this because this is geometric, but basically every specialty priority that you have on a card will roughly give you 0.05% chance of a 2 or more tap, which we're going to be calling a successful tap at this point. If you want to make that even easier, every 20 specialty priority on guts cards in your deck have roughly a 1% chance of 2+ taps. So let's say you run a 50 specialty priority card, you can consider that as roughly a 2.5% chance of increased 2.5% chance of getting a successful tap during anywhere, but hopefully during summer as well. Here are some examples using standard builds that I've seen people use in decks. The one I think that's most useful is the purely free-to-play in the middle, but I notice a lot of people are using Bamboo Memory, myself included, and the frontrunners are using something like Inus Fusion as well. As you can see, the rule of squares, which is basically saying that, if you have 2 sides, you want them as close as possible to have the largest area. The rule of squares does apply, and you can see that basically 50 in all 3 is basically the difference between that and adding 65 on like Bamboo Memory, but running a Yabe at 35, and I think most people are going to be running a Yabe. You can look at this table on your own a little bit. The most important thing I think from this table that's important is that, hey, if you're going and grabbing groundwork from Bakashin, you're basically losing about 10-ish%, a little bit less, maybe 5 to 6% of your success chance just from running a card with 0 specialty priority versus running a card like even Aurora that has 50 specialty priority. That is the trade-off for going and getting convenience in other aspects of the area. So anywhere from 1% if you're running very low specialty priority to something like 1.5% for the God taps, and something like 12% versus 14% is not noticeable now, but we're going to go and talk about it in a bit about how it goes over the course of your run. If you look here, this is probably the most useful table. Sorry about that. I probably should have done this spot. But basically what it's saying is that, hey, it's roughly a 15% chance for a successful tap. This is basically based off of the free-to-play build, but I find it's a good middle ground between the 2 lesser used builds. Maybe you can say it's 15.5%, but you basically multiply everything by the difference of 15 over whatever the percentage chance is based on this table. When you start to extrapolate this over the course of summer, which is the point of this video, you find that these little minor things add up. Even though it's only 15% that we're doing for the successful tap chance, what we really need to say this is a successful run, what I would say is a successful run in terms of how good our summers were is, hey, do we have, let's say, at least 2 really good double guts? This isn't all-encompassing, like I said, but I think if we have 2 double guts turns, we are at a very, very high likelihood that we hit our stats, especially for using the really good guts cards. Now, here are the answers for all of them, but basically you were doing the same binomial problem, but it's only 15%, and this is what you would change with this number here, but it's just a 15% success chance with it, and you will find that you have a 34.28% chance that in summer you have a successful summers because you have 2 double friendship trainings. These are the ones that are exact. So this is 2 or more, and this is just 2 for your reference. This is a whistle. The whistle we haven't gone over as an item. It's a future video probably, but whistles are incredibly powerful because they add the number of turns. So we are taking this basically as K to 8. So the number of successes required to 8 as far as your arrangements. The whistle adds basically free turns because if you don't like a turn, you whistle it out, let's say. Okay, that's basically how it works. You could hypothetically use all your whistles until you get doubles if you really wanted to. So if you use 5 whistles, you have 13 summer turns essentially. If you only have 1 whistle, you have 9 summer turns. And if you look here, that 34% chance increases to 40% chance. And if you really want more taps, you can go and find that it goes to like from 10% to 14 to 17 to 22 to 26 to 30. So these whistles are very, very, very powerful because they increase the total success of your runs if you're using this as your bearing metric by roughly 5% if you consider 2 or more hits. And I would say a very successful summer is 3+, you get about 3.5% chance. So these whistles only being 20 coins and having a 5% increase in the total success of your summers, if you are, I mean, you can still get unlucky, that's a massive increase in this guts build, like a extraordinarily large one. I think these whistles probably should be prioritized over almost everything in the game. It's hard to compare them at this point without me knowing every single item like this, but just on paper, 5% increase that your run just goes a lot better seems very, very powerful to me. You're not just looking for double speed taps. This is where I start to go and look at other aspects of the run. I'm going to start to broaden your scope. A lot of times you're going to need that 1 summer speed tap, and this may happen on its own when the guts isn't there, but I think at some point you will need it because you're going to be skipping races if you do it outside of it. Now, you may not need it, you may need it, but if you decide that you do need it, if you're running a very high specialty priority card like Kidis in Black, 1 speed tap happening in 8 summer turns is a 95.34% chance, and we're simplifying it by saying you're going to prioritize a speed that may not be correct, but if you even just do that and you have only 7 remaining taps for the rest of your guts cards, you have a 28% chance of that happening. So if you multiply those 2 probabilities together, that 34% chance already goes down to 27.03% chance of a successful run in general. It's not the best comparison, and you probably prioritize the guts cards first, but you're going to find it's roughly in the same realm of percentages. If you're wondering what NTR does, NTR has lower specialty priority, so it's a 24.8% chance. And the thing is, and I've done this type of analysis before, you do not just need these guts cards to go to guts on summer. There's plenty of other things in the runs that can go wrong. And yes, this is a 1 in 3 on its raw power itself. It does not seem that bad, but when you start to add things together, here are just a few examples, you basically start to have the failure chance increase over and over and over again. If you remember from my Rico video, although missing a chain event didn't seem like that bad because you could just rerun the run the second time, you're adding this on to other things. And that 34%, like I said, if you require a speed tap, if you may not, but you require a speed tap, it goes down to 27.03%. So you immediately are going almost a 1 in 4. Now you need 4 runs. And then if you remember from that Rico video, if you miss a chain event, let's say that you miss a singular chain event from one of your cards, if you require 3 chain events, it's a 50-50 chance because it's a hypergeometric distribution, 50-50 chance whether or not the one chosen is one that you care about. This could be like Professor of Curvature, could be Speedstar, it could be things like taking the lead is the big one. So if you're a front runner player and you miss a chain event, it's basically like a 1 in 6, it's this, but you probably have other things you care about too. So if half the time you miss a chain event, this is an estimate, and half the time that chain event matters, it's a 75% chance of success. And that multiplies the 27% down to 20%. And all of a sudden we're 1 in 5ing, right? Add that to just trying to get a Mile S run. Mile S, if you have perfect mile sparks, 9-star miles on both sides at 150 affinity, hey, all of a sudden, we're at a 69.75% chance of that. We multiply that with what we've had, and it's 14.14% chance. We're going down further and further. Let's say you need any specific skill that we're going and trying to get from our parents. Groundwork, straightaway spurt, the like. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's your greens, etc. Just a singular skill with 6 on each side for a total of 12 sparks at 150 affinity is 76.42% of grabbing it. And that goes and makes that 14% down to 11%. And then, of course, if we just have like a 15% chance the run just dies of random stuff, like, anything, we get no cures or along the entire thing and we get skin condition. We have no energy items with just shop RNG failing us. If we fail like a training that's important, that's like 4%. There's so many things that can happen badly in the run that I think 15% may be a little too generous. And the whole point of this is I was being incredibly generous in this point that, hey, we add that and we multiply that to what we had, and we already have a 9.19% chance of something good happening, like having a good run that is mile S. And that's assuming we have the perfect parents with very good like groundwork sparks or very good straightaway spurt sparks if we need it, et cetera, et cetera. And all of a sudden that 34%, that 1 in 3 flip we're doing, when we go and add it to the other points of RNG in the game, that's a 9.19% chance. And if we have, let's say, a success chance of 70% chance with our speed wit decks, that's like a double that. It's like 18%, it's 20%. So now instead of 1 in 5ing, we're 1 in 11ing, okay? It's basically 1 in 10.89. Should you run the 1-3-2 guts build? That is up to basically a combination of your risk tolerance and how much time you have dedicated to the game. You should expect to run 7 to 15 runs per race in this using the mathematics that I have shown, okay? You can go and edit this based on what you believe to be generous and what you believe to be underselling, etc., etc. So this is median math. It's the percentile thing I like to say. So when there is a 1 in 10.89 chance for a successful run, that means that 10% of people will get it in the first run. Half the people will get it within 7 runs. 75% of the people will have to go all the way to 15 runs. And there will always be that one person at 99th percentile that takes 50 runs to get an ace that works. That could be you, that could be me, that could be anybody. And that's what we're signing up to. And the thing is that we have not just one ace. Let's say we have 3 aces, and the math is the same for all that. So you do the median math, it's the same median math. I think it's almost exactly like the binomial problem, which is hilarious to me. And all of a sudden, that 7 to 15, you basically are multiplying it, and you find that because of average normalization, I don't know what the term is for it, but basically if you get lucky once and then you get unlucky once, then you get lucky once, you're more likely to get further along. Half the people, the 50 percentile mark is 33 runs for all 3 of your aces. That's a lot of Track Blazer runs, guys. That's a ton of Track Blazer runs. And of course, 99th percentile is 72 runs. I don't know many people doing 72 Track Blazer runs in that case. The true question on whether or not you should be running Guts build or not is, are you employed? Because 72 runs, hey, even the average of 30 runs is 30 hours in this game. Do you have the time to run 30 hours? That is your question. If you don't, I'm an engineer. I try not to just go and talk about things and don't give suggestions and answers. The biggest one I should say is build your passable Umas first so you don't get frustrated, and then you can start to high roll. The Guts deck is a high roll deck. There's many different ways you can go and be comfy and basically de-risk your run that gives you less results because you may not get that 1,100, 1,000 guts. You may have 750. You may have 650 guts. You could have 800 guts. You could still high roll into it, but the odds are lower. One of the biggest ones I think is just using the 222 deck. Everything in yellow I'll probably make a video on, to be honest. You could also lower the number of aces by running your debuffers or runaway blockers. Those are easier to build. They only take a few runs to build, and you don't really care about the mile S. You could run the speed wit power deck. You could run 222. You could go and run 3 wit cards instead. You could just say, hey, I don't need to hit that 901 guts threshold. And by doing that, you press your speed button more using the same deck build. And all of a sudden, your speed is easier to hit and you fail less often. You could also play rolls. I know this is not popular to say. You could play Late Surger or certain pace chasers like Taiki Shuttle or even Nishino Flower that have multiple paths to victory. You don't necessarily need straightaway spurt. You don't necessarily need every single frontrunner skill. Late Surgers have a million different skills that work, so it removes that type of RNG from the game so you can focus on hitting your stats with Guts build. Your character choice matters a lot. You could run things like V-Bourbon, who have like almost everything they need in kit. That V-Bourbon is going to make it so it's a lot easier to build because you don't have the groundwork that you need to find. You only need to really get the mile S, etc., etc. And you can even go and build characters that are imperfect. You can still build non-groundwork frontrunners. I know it's not popular, but you're not going to fight the absolute 100% bestly built frontrunner every single race. And maybe you're going to get sniped a couple times by an end closer. Maybe you are going to be fighting against the best V-Bourbon, but a V bourbon that's missing one skill or two skills, it's still better than like 95% of the Umas that are built in this game. That is examples of how to de-risk. I'm probably going to go over a couple of them in the follow-up video, but hey, this has been the Guts build, and at the end of the day, Guts is just a singular strategy. If it's frustrating you, go back to Speed, Power, Wit. It's perfectly fine. Yes, you're at a disadvantage. You're at a 400 Guts disadvantage, you're at a 300 Guts disadvantage, whatever the game gives it to you, but you know, you can go for 601, 601, and the only difference that you have is your duels are less if you're a backliner, and your spot struggle is less if you're a front runner. And you may see, let's say, a 10% decrease in your win rate, but hey, you're making a finals at that point still, right? Maybe you still have a chance to win. Let's say you're getting 70% versus 80%. Does it really matter that last 10%? It may be a little bit more carrots. That's the point of this video. Here are the risks to the Guts build. I hope this has gone and helped you make your decision whether or not you want to go to it. And hey, if you're running Guts build and you're getting frustrated, just know the Speed, Power, Wit build's there. It's perfectly fine. I think people are underestimating it, honestly, because the skills that you get from certain power cards are still absolutely incredible. Okay, that has been the risks of running the Guts builds. I'll start probably working on one of these videos next, or I'll just take tomorrow off. I don't know. Take care, everyone. Burb out. Hey, Future Burb here. I already know this question is going to be asked, so yes, I will do a Guts walkthrough. At the very least, I will probably stream a day this week and do a couple Guts runs to show people how it works, or I may clip it down into a video. So don't worry, that will be coming as well. For real now this time, take care, everyone. Burb out.